What do you think probably like the most important aspects for leadership are in general, not just like military, but generally?
So the first thing is I think you have to let everybody know what your priorities are. I think is one of the most important things. Like the Army's starting this now. It wasn't always kind of this way. They're doing this whole people first thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they call it. They call it people first, like the new motto, because the Army's been having some issues with its people.
Mm-hmm.
All the issues at Fort Hood with soldiers like being murdered and
Mm-hmm.
not people not knowing about it for months on end. There's been some issues with that, so you got to let them know, like, hey, I am here to take care of you, and everything we do every day is for your own best interest. Sometimes you don't like doing it, but it's for your own best interest. I think establishing those priorities is the first thing, and then physically acting on them. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two totally separate things. You see a lot of leaders that'll go out there and say like, "Yeah, I'm here for your best interest," blah blah, and then someone brings you an issue like, "Hey, I got to go pick up my kid from daycare. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know I have shift right now, but I got to go pick up my kid from daycare," and you're like, "Too bad, man. You got shift. Sorry." Like, there's what that those little tests. You have to pass those little tests.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
That's like one of the first big steps is physically showing
Mm-hmm.
that you care.
Servant leadership,
Yep, exactly.
for
Servant
sure.
leadership.
My company is all about that. Like all the little like the example you brought up, kid from daycare.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Like
Go
go
get
for
them.
it. Like we'll cover for you.
Yeah.
Um, it's really nice. Like, hey, I've got like when I got back from Mexico, I needed to go get tested for COVID, and I don't know how it is in Georgia, but up here it can be difficult to find a place to go get tested.
Oh,
I found this gym that's like an hour away that I can make same day appointments and get the result and like the rapid one.
yeah.
And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want people taking away my taking away the place that I go.
Place. Yeah.
Um, but so I'm like, hey, they have an appointment in the middle of the day. No problem. We'll cover for you. If you need something, let me know. It's like everybody's in communication all the time, and it's a really really well run sort of organization, and that comes from the leadership and the culture that they've instilled there in the last 20 years since the company was founded. But
Yeah.
coaching is the same way, just in different, right? Like you have to make sure that the players know that you're there for them and you're there to help. Like you don't need to win.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the situation, obviously, but like you're trying to develop the players individually rather than nobody gets playing time or like this or like whatever other political squabbles that pop up in those situations.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. And then I just thought about this too. The second thing I'd also say is always give a why.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a Simon Sinekism. But
Mm-hmm.
essentially giving someone something to do, like this is more of a managerial leadership. When you're assigning
Mm-hmm.
someone a task, you need to always give them a why
For
so they
sure.
understand. Well, they understand why they're doing it. I despise when people say like go do this and you ask them why and they're like, well, because I'm in charge, so go do it.
Yeah. Or because I
The
said
why is
so.
important not just for them to know like, hey, this is why this is important, but two, when they're actually doing that task, if they've come across a problem and they have your why or your intent, they know why you want them to do it. They can make decisions on basically on your behalf, knowing your intent and
Mm-hmm.
accomplish things more efficiently.
For
If they know
100%.
why they're doing it. If they don't know why they're doing it, they might do something and it might jack it all up, and then they're going to look back at you and you're pissed at them because they jacked it up and it wasn't within your intent. But you can't fault them because you never told them what the why was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think always giving a why is number two. That's more like managerial leadership, but
Mm-hmm.
always you got to always give a why. And that's something when I heard that I took it to heart. And so everything I tell someone to do, I give them a why. Here's why you're doing this. Here's why this is important.
Mm-hmm. That's a good policy to have. I notice when you give the why, they're more inclined to work harder at it as well.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like they're more involved in the decision, even if
Yeah.
they're not. But
And they can make their own decisions like
yeah,
branching
once
off
once
that
they
if
get
they have
into the
more.
situation, yeah, once they get into the situation, if they know why,
Yeah.
like you were saying, they run into a hiccup or it didn't go exactly to plan, they can improvise because they know why they're doing it and what the end goal is rather. So if they have to go take route B rather than route A,
Yeah.
they're still
They know
good.
why.
This definitely it's the same way in coaching for sure. You're doing a drill, you want to let them know, hey, in this game situation, this is where this pops up, and this is why you need to be good at this
Yeah.
like particular skill. And you notice that in practice as well. Like they'll put more effort in. They'll like go at game speed rather than just
Yeah.
which players do, especially like the younger ones now. If you don't, well, I could go on a whole rant about that, but
Yeah.
we'll save that for later. But